Welcome out, everybody. I wanted to give you a chance to go over the syllabus with me just so everybody is clear on exactly what's going on with the syllabus. I also have my buddy Silas here, so we'll go ahead and jump right in. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen here real quick, and I just want to go over the syllabus so you have a chance to see what's going on here. So, for the syllabus, again, this is my Veterans Voices course, SOCSI 134W. I am Dr. Albright, for Special Forces Group. In this course, you're going to use academic writing to understand and appreciate the diverse workflows, priorities, and values of U.S. military veterans, and explore how veterans have used their voices over time as authors, as political actors, artists, leaders in social movements, um, all kinds of different ways that veterans have used their voices over the years. You'll consider how veterans' identities are intersectional. That is, there are multiple different identities that veterans have, and sort of what that means for them as they attempt to navigate reintegration into civilian life, and all kinds of other challenges that veterans face. This is an upper division writing course with a W. That means that you will be lots of uh, writing lots of text. You're going to be generating a lot of text. It should be original text. It should not be generated by AI. Um, Students must submit 4,000 plus words of written work across several assignments. Some of that will be duplicated as you do have a portfolio assignment. But again, you're going to be ongoing drafting, planning, revising, writing. It is an iterative process. That means that you uh, have a draft, then you revise, then you have another draft, then you revise, then you have another draft, and then you revise. And when you finally get to a stopping point, that is a place where you'll turn that in. All right. All assignments are collected and revised for that final digital portfolio. I encourage you all to keep track not just of the assignments that you write for this class, but also to keep track of the assignments you write for other classes and hang on to those papers. Put them in a blog or stash them somewhere where you can sort of track your history of writing over time, because it is an important thing to be able to look back on and say, oh, look where I came from. Look where I was writing when I was in high school and when I transitioned to college and maybe when I got my master's degree and when I got my PhD. Those are not only important memories, but you're laboring over those things. It is real work to write well. And so I want you to have some kind of record of that, so that you have a record of your thought process along your academic career, not just in this class. And for those of you who would like to, you can use your digital portfolio assignment to begin to build that presence and begin to build the place that will eventually become your blog. Required text. We've got Warrior Writers. It's a collection of writing and artwork by veterans. I encourage you all to purchase that either on Amazon, or the Warrior Writers Project does have a website from which you can purchase it. I think the book is around $20. Sebastian Younger has a book called Tribe on Homecoming and Belonging. I showed you that on the other intro video. Do pick that up. Again, this is going to be Amazon. The bookstore has told me they cannot stock either one of these, so I just encourage you to grab those books however you can. You'll also be picking up a veteran authored text that addresses a veteran's issue. It's not either of those works above, and it should be no older than 2001. I say that because we've got a different era of veterans right now, the GWAT veteran or the Global War on Terror veteran. Um, And I want you to read specifically about them because they're in charge of things right now. Um, they are uh, uh, a generation of veterans that are important to know because they're movers and shakers right now. Um, I myself am a GWAT veteran, so I'm in charge of you right now, right? At least for this class. So I think that's an important generation of veterans to examine. I'm not saying they're the only important group of veterans to examine, but for this class, I want us to understand sort of a modern veteran experience. So you don't have to approve that book with me. I just want you to pick one that will be the subject of your book review that you write for the end of class. I do also recommend a book called Salsa Dancing in the Social Sciences. This is by Kristen Luker, and it's just an interesting way of learning how to write in the social sciences if you're going on to do more academic writing in your careers. I encourage you to just take a look at that book. It's recommended by me. I'm not going to require it. It is a social science writing textbook, a research textbook. So um, if you don't feel the need to do an optional textbook, you certainly don't need to pick that one up. And we're not going to directly quote from it for either reading or writing for this course. Cultural touchstones. What I mean by that is these are stories that people should know when they're working with veterans. Um, Not only because they are just stories that are out there in our culture, but also uh, because they lead us to a better understanding of the veteran experience, even though none of the authors of these texts have been shown to be veterans. Some of them might have been, but it's really difficult for us to know whether or not they were. Um, so those include Shakespeare's Henry cycle. This is Henry the Fourth, parts one and two. I think, and then Henry the Fifth, and then Richard the Second. Those are all part of the Henry cycle. So I encourage you to take a look at those texts because they are um, formative, and you'll see at the Battle of Agincourt right before Henry V talks about his band of brothers, and that's probably a phrase that you've heard before. It's a real important cultural touchstone, especially Henry V. If you're going to read any of the Henry cycle, read Henry V. Then the Greek tragedy of Ajax. This is actually one of the less common ones, but specifically at the very beginning of Ajax. Ajax, the Greek hero, is returning from the Trojan War. Um, he returns to uh, a place that doesn't feel like it used to. And he's obviously got some PTSD that's obvious to us as we look at it and we read it. And it's a portrayal that shows those deep emotional scars that soldiers sometimes come back with. So I encourage you to read that. Of course, Homer's Iliad and Odyssey are also ones to read that would give you more information about Ajax, and then of course Odysseus and the Trojan horse and all of those hero stories. Those are interesting to give background, and they do talk about some pretty serious subjects with some of the soldiers, but it also is sprinkled in with some adventure and things that you might find entertaining. The Aeneid. This story tells of a Trojan soldier that survives the fall of Troy and embarks on a journey to find a new homeland in Italy. And this is of course, the founding story of Rome. So I encourage you to take a look at the Aeneid also. And then Beowulf and Othello, those are also very important texts to our culture. Beowulf, you can read either in the Seamus Heaney translation, which is a very nice poetic translation, or there is a Tolkien translation if you're a Tolkien fan. Um, but remember, Tolkien was a scholar of Old English, and so he likely is going to be extremely verbose in his translation. So um, take that as you will. Um, yeah. Uh, so those are just cultural touchstones. You don't have to read any of those. They're not going to be absolutely vital for class, but I encourage all of my students to know what those texts are that are cultural touchstones. Um, I get a lot of people asking me for book recommendations, and I ask first if they've read the classics that they should know that inform all of the rest of the things that we do. And if they haven't read the classics, I tend to say, please read the classics. So there's that. All right. My learning objectives for you for this course. You want to submit competitive transcripts to academic journals within the veteran studies field. That is the big aim in this class. I want you all to feel comfortable submitting your manuscripts to journals for publication. If you do go on to work in academia, that's what you're going to be doing as part of keeping your job as a professor, which is not an easy thing to do, right? So the more relevant you can be in the conversation going on in the field, the better off your prospects for continued employment will be. So I encourage you to uh, take that as a goal, is becoming more comfortable with your ability to submit transcripts to academic journals. Specifically, I'm an editor for the Veteran of Journal of Veteran Studies, and I want you to submit to my journal your book reviews so that we can begin to get you publishing there. Um, so there's that. Um, I want you to be able to evaluate your own and your peers' writing using the course instruction and text. So I'm going to give you some instruction about how to review other people's writing, how to review your own writing, and I want you to be able to provide detailed and constructive feedback on those written tasks. So I encourage you to, you know, show up for other people, give people feedback in a timely manner so that they can quickly make changes to their manuscripts as they go along. It is really important for you to understand that writing is a process, right? And as much as we can be our own worst critics, we're also our own worst critics. That is to say that we might know something is wrong, but we might not know how to fix it. And if we don't go to an outside person to learn how to fix that thing, it could be detrimental to us improving our papers. So there's that. I want you to analyze and respond in writing to veterans' creative works. So if you're going to be working with veterans, which I think that most of you are going to be doing, or maybe veterans yourself, I want you to be able to look at their creative works, look at their academic work, and see what they're trying to articulate. That know their military service, know their home, know that they're trying to come home, know that they're trying to adjust to civilian life, what values they have, what aspirations they might have, those kinds of things, and respond to the work in how effective it is at achieving those aims, right? Um, Veterans may not be the most academically gifted or even creatively gifted people that you've met. And so you need to be able to look at amateur work and see what the value is and sort of where it can take somebody. All right. Because if you discourage somebody from self-expression with the first time they try it, they might not ever try it again. So I want you to be able to respond in a way that builds that production and builds that capacity. rather than saying, get out of here, kid, you got no future, you know? Um, want you to be able to identify and analyze how veterans influence society through political and social activism. So, a lot of you will have heard of veterans supporting this cause or that cause. You may have pre-existing notions of who veterans are politically or activism wise. Um, I would encourage you to reserve your judgment and learn how to hear what veterans are saying and analyze how that makes sense in the context of their service and their goals for the future. You're going to be demonstrating an understanding of how veteran intersectional identities um, contribute to their upward mobility, their civil rights, um, we're going to examine things through lenses of race, class, gender, sexuality, national origins, all of those things that um, the diaspora of veterans, if you will, is going to be experiencing because veterans are a very diverse group. Um, and you, even if you think you know who serves, you don't really know. Because there's just a ton of different varieties of veterans who serve for all kinds of different reasons. And they come from all different classes, races, genders, sexualities, and citizenships, no matter what the laws are at the time, right? I want you to be able to reflect on the meanings and functions of military memorialization. So, what that means is why do we do the things that we do for veterans, especially as they die or as conflicts fall out of memory? Why do we do those things? Think about how we treat veterans think about as a veteran comes through, maybe we realize they're a veteran because they've got their veteran hat on, and we say, oh, thank you for your service. I could never do what you do, whatever you say, right? I want you to think about how those activities are experienced and perceived by veterans, especially of different backgrounds, because you may come up with answers that surprise you as we tackle that. And then we're going to compare and contrast veteran and non-veteran perceptions of military identities and experiences through media and popular culture texts. So as we begin reading, especially Sebastian Junger's account, um, I think it can lead us to a better understanding of how veterans are perceived in the popular culture, but then also how they feel about that. All right. For grading, your reading reflections that we'll be doing, which is a weekly reflection post on the reading content, that's going to be 10% of your grade for 100 total points. The total grade is out of 1,000. Your short papers are 20%, 200 points. That's a weekly short paper. The discussion group participation, that includes logging in, posting, and responding to others. That's going to be 10% of your grade or 100 points. The book review that you write at the end of the course or throughout the course is going to be 300 points or 30% of your grade. So it will be very difficult to pass the class if you get a 0 on the book review. So I encourage you to definitely do that. And then the portfolio at the end is also going to be 300 points or 30% of your grade. This does give you a chance to revise and resubmit work so you can boost your grade not only in the grades that you've received earlier in the class, but also in the letter that you're submitting along with the format of that portfolio. So that is a chance to recover a lot of grade if you're missing out on stuff. So if you have trouble at the beginning, don't worry. This is a very abbreviated course, so we're gonna go through things pretty quickly. But at the end of the course, if you can get that portfolio just beautiful, then you're going to end up with a better grade than you would if we didn't have the opportunity to revise. Um, in my classes, if you put in effort, you generally receive the grade that you expect. All right. So don't worry so much about grades as much as worrying about completing the assignments and doing your best on those assignments. Because typically you will rise to the level that you're putting the effort in to get to. All right. Going over the course, I'm not going to go over this super in depth because we'll be covering it each week. But there is a 5-week Veterans Voices schedule. Our first week, we're going to do that overview of the course, the introduction to the broad range of veterans' voices, explore veterans' creative expressions. There is some reading due. You want to read Warrior Writers Volume 4, pages 14 through 22. And in Tribe, you'll be reading Chapter 1, The Men and the Dogs. For viewing, I've got a YouTube video here where old soldier meets a young soldier. It's a shorter video, but it's interesting to see how they interact. Um, for writing, you're going to write your reflection paper on initial thoughts about diversity of veterans' voices. This should be 2 to 3 pages. This is double-spaced 12-point Times New Roman um, and MLA format if you're doing any citations. Um, for the discussion, we're going to create a discussion post about one of the poems in Warrior Writers. It doesn't have to be from this week's reading. Um, and you can pick one that you connect with in some way and describe why. You should shoot for around 150 words in every post and respond to 2 other posts. If there's not a whole lot to respond to in somebody else's post, I forgive that, right? I understand that you're doing your best with what's there, but just aim for a substantive post each time, and try to keep a discussion going. Um, the discussion boards can sometimes get a little monotonous just because if not everybody is putting in a substantive amount to grab onto, then it's really difficult to respond to that. So um, just do your best to put in the effort to get that initial post to be real good. And then as you respond to other people's posts, just know that I'm weighting this mostly on what your response was, not what you comment on other people's. All right. For week 2, we're looking at veterans as political actors and social leaders. We're going to look at veterans in political movements and their leadership roles. We'll look at the key historical events that show veteran activism, like the Bonus March, like the Vietnam Memorial, like the founding of the VA. You're going to be reading pages 296 to 319 in Warrior Writers. And I want you to read Chapter 2, What Makes You an Animal, in Tribe. The viewing is the March of the Bonus Army on PBS YouTube. That is a longer video. Try and get through most of it. It is very important history, and history you might not be familiar with, so I encourage you to look at it. For writing, we're going to do an analysis of the effectiveness of the Bonus Army. So as you watch that video, please take notes and use that to write what you're going to turn in for the writing that week. It is again 2 to 3 pages, so try to work yourself up to that. And again, it's Times New Roman, 12-point font, double spaced, so it shouldn't be that difficult to write 2 to 3 pages on that. You can also create a post that briefly describes a political movement that was led by or founded by veterans, and you can respond to 2 other posts on that as well. The next thing that we're going to be doing in week 3 is organizations and societies for veterans. We're going to do an overview of the VFW, the GI Forum, AMVETS, American Legion, those kinds of things, Magnus Veterans Foundation, those kinds of organizations. We're going to be doing for reading, we're going to research articles on the history and impact of those organizations. We're going to choose 5 poems from Warrior Writers to read and respond to in writing. Respond to 2 of those poems in writing. And then for Tribe, we're going to be reading Chapter 3, In Bitter Safety I Awake. There's viewing, there's a YouTube video on veteran service organizations. There's a comparative essay for your writing, 2 to 3 pages on the missions and achievements of veterans organizations, um, or the lack of achievements. You can certainly be critical of these organizations if you would like to be. And then for the discussion, you can debate the effectiveness of organizations in today's context, take a position about the effectiveness of the organizations or an organization for veterans, and respond to each comment on your post. So for that one, again, I want you to monitor your own post for the week and try to respond to anybody who disagrees with you or agrees with you on your initial post. All right. Week 4, intersectional identities of veterans. This is where we're going to understand or try to understand veterans as people who are living with hybrid identities, right? So they have races and sexes and genders and sexualities that are diverse, and they've learned actually to cooperate with people who are of different uh, genders and races and sexualities and nationalities from them. And so you can use veterans themselves as models for how to integrate these things. And we're also going to be looking at how those identities influence their expressions and their activism, because it does have a profound effect on the way they express themselves. For our assignments, we'll be reading Tribe Chapter 4, Calling Home from Mars, and we'll read the postscript from the Prisoners After War um, excerpt that I'll be posting on the on the week 4 area. For viewing, we're gonna watch the LGBTQ plus webinar benefits and services for veterans. Um, that is a video that's basically a benefits call. So I want you to pay as much attention as you can to it. It is kind of a long video, but just sort of glean what you can from it. I understand if you can't get everything from that, but it will make writing your critical essay on the intersectional challenges faced by a specific group of veterans that much easier. Because again, that's going to be 4 to 5 pages. So we're working toward that goal of writing more and more. Um, there is in here uh, a note in the syllabus that we can do a creative project showcasing the intersectional identities of veterans through art, poetry, or multimedia. I'm going to say whether you want to write the critical essay or do the project, that is up to you. All right. So I will use the same rubric to judge both. Essentially, you're working toward the same kinds of goals, but one is going to be a creative project and one will be more of an academic essay. So if you're going in a more creative direction with your studies, I encourage you to do the creative project. If you're going in a more academic direction, I encourage you to go with the critical essay. Um, and I'm actually not going to put out an assignment sheet for the creative project because I want you to be creative with it, right? So just bear that in mind. And because I'm not putting out an assignment sheet, if you're watching this video still, guess what? You're going to be in the know more than other people. Oh, and Silas isn't very happy with that. He wants everybody to be in the know. So maybe we'll let everybody know. All right. Um, so this is also where we're going to start talking about um, the portfolio. And the portfolio is going to be just a grouping of your work from the class. You're also going to write a letter of reflection at the start of the portfolio that reflects on your learning from the course. These are going to be digital, which means you're going to be creating a website to showcase this stuff. You don't have to create it from scratch. You don't have to know HTML. You can use either Wix or one of the other free website creators to create this website, and it should just showcase your work Um, for this class, I would like it to only showcase work from this class, but later on, when you use this as your own personal blog, I encourage you to have it showcase work from other areas of your life, even if that's not all academic work. All right. And then in week 5, our final week, we're going to cover social movements and media where veterans are interacting. We're going to look at veterans' involvement in modern social movements, like the anti-war movements, like demining campaigns, those kinds of things. We'll look at representations of veterans in the media and popular culture. We're also going to be reading, we're going to find and read a veteran authored book that addresses a veteran issue. If you go on Amazon and type in the word veteran, you will find a book that is veteran authored. Just look in the author bio and make sure that the author lists themselves as a veteran. If you can't find something, please let me know and I will recommend a book for you. Just know that these books do tackle topics which may be triggering for some people. So if you need a recommendation for a book that might not trigger you based on a certain thing, just let me know and we can search for something together. For viewing, there is a story about a demining campaign that's undertaken by Ryan Hendrickson, who served in the same unit as I did. And then for writing, there is the book review of that veteran authored book addressing a veterans issue in the last 4 years. The review has to be submitted for publication to JVS, the Journal of Veteran Studies. And for discussion that week, we're going to gather in revision groups to help each other revise our book reviews. So when we're divided into those peer review discussion groups, I encourage you to share at least excerpts of your work so that other people can give you feedback on them. There will be more to come on that front, so don't worry if that seems like a lot for right now. So that is the syllabus. I encourage you all to just do your best to keep track with the course. I know there's going to be a lot of work, and if it ever seems like too much work, you can communicate that to me. But we're not going to change what's assigned. We may just alter our expectations as people are more or less successful with it. But no, people have been successful with it before, so you don't have to worry about it being impossible. With all that said, again, reach out to me if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll see you around. And I'll be posting videos like this quite a lot. All right. Thank you.